Hello fam, how you all doing? I hope you all are having a great weekend. Let's check these videos out.
You're not his mother and you're not his father. Javon, why are you letting this happen? I get a call from Quan on his iPad talking about your little girlfriend hit him. For what? What you hit my son for?
In the situation. Let me be the woman in the situation. First of all, hey, how you doing?
Hey.
You're gonna greet me like you got some sense.
I don't gotta greet
first
you.
Of all.
Hey,
and that's why
You
your
think I
son
gotta
acts
greet
the way
you?
that he acts, and why he gets smacked up and down when he's in my
please.
house. Because
Please.
clearly you have no home training from your own mama, and somebody should have beat her behind for the way she raised you. Because you need your behind butt beat for the way that you raising him.
Come be my behind and get out the car.
Hey, nah, man. Hey, good shit.
Get out the car.
Hey,
get out the car.
Doing too much, shawty. We
Don't
about to
hit
go.
my son.
I'm a real one.
Nah,
I'm
we
a
about to
real
go.
one.
Talissa, whatever your name is,
Sit down.
don't hit my
You're raising
son.
a thief.
Sit down.
And you're raising
What
a
he
disrespectful
stole?
little rascal, honey.
Since you know everything,
And I
what
need
he
you to tell
stole?
him. Honey, he's taking money out of my bag.
Honey, he gets that from
He's
Javon.
taking
That's what
toys
Javon do.
From my
That's what Javon
Baby,
do.
my man ain't gotta
That's
steal
what
nothing.
Javon do.
My man ain't
Stop
gotta
that.
Hey, see, you
Stop
don't
that.
listen. That's why she had
Stop
to hit him
that.
last night. You don't listen.
So where you been all day?
Work? Where else do I be at?
What?
Where else do I be at?
Why didn't I drop you off at work? Why didn't you just let me drop you off at work?
Because it's my car and I didn't want you to drop me off at work.
I always drop you off.
Okay, but today I didn't want you to drop me off.
You inconsiderate as hell. What if I had something to do with anything? Like, you don't care what I got to do.
I wanted to drive my car to work today, and that's just what it
needed the
is.
car.
So
I needed it.
okay,
I had something to do.
well, you could have Ubered or something like you had me do them days when you didn't care about me having to be to work.
Sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Did it make sense that I Ubered and it's my car?
I'm waking up, it's a whole car outside.
Did it
Why
make?
the fuck would I Uber?
Oh, I wake up and I have my own car, but somehow I still be having to Uber to work sometimes.
Oh, you finna piss me off, bro.
Okay,
It's
you already
8
pissed me
o'clock.
off, so.
8 o'clock.
Okay, I've been at work. I can go to work in my car. What you not understanding about that?
So, is you finna let me do what I have to do or what?
You can Uber to go do what you have to do.
You off work, so
Why
I
you
don't
been
have to
waiting
do
on me
this.
all day? I've been at work all day. Why would you wait all the way till I get home at 8 o'clock to talk
Why
about?
would I Uber and it's a car when I could just...
Because you been here all day and you said you got something to
Don't worry
do.
about it.
If you got something to
Wait, the lady that owns the car could Uber to her destination, but the boyfriend that borrowed the car doesn't want to Uber, or the boyfriend that borrows the car doesn't want to Uber. It's the entitlement for me. So it's okay for the owner of the car to use Uber when the car is not available, when the car is with the boyfriend. But it's not okay for the boyfriend that doesn't have a car, that doesn't own the car, to Uber, to use Uber. Ladies, we need to wake up, because that man sounded so entitled.
I went on a date recently and it was so freaking good until he sent me this stupid text and it pisses me off. To give the briefest of brief backstories, it was a first date. I haven't had this chemistry with someone in years, alright? So I am freaking stoked. I get home from the date. He texts me, "Thanks for a good time. You're beautiful. We're off to a good start, okay?" He says, "Seriously though, thanks for the conversation. I had a good time." And I was like, "I did too. I'll see you tomorrow." Because it was so good that we planned to see each other the next night. And this is where it goes south. He says, "I was gonna ask for a spicy photo, but I thought that would cross the line." What the what? How did we get here? How did we get to a spicy photo? Nothing happened in this date that would hint at a spicy photo. So, and then he says, new text, "Good night, beautiful woman," with a kissy face. I respond, "Ew. Did I just waste my time with an F-boy?" And he says, "What is that?" And I said, "Someone who just wants to F." And then he says, "LOL, not me. I think you gotta know me pretty well." What? I also can't believe he's never heard of the term F-boy. He is a little older than me. He's 41. I'm 31. So I don't know. Maybe he hasn't heard of that term. But like, what else am I supposed to think? Like, you are asking me for the photos. You're asking me for the photos without asking me for the photos. Like, I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. It was one date. One date. I don't respond to that text because I went from a high to a low. I'm pretty pissed. Pretty pissed. So I go to bed. The next morning, he texts me, "Good morning, Sophie." And I say, "Good morning, crazy." And he says, "Me?" And I said, "I'm not gonna lie. The spicy photo comment really rubbed me the wrong way. I think we're looking for different things." He responds, "I was just having fun. My fault. I apologize. I'm looking for the same thing as you, and I did have a good time with you." Anyways, he's apologizing. I cancel the date for that night because once I'm in a mood, it's done. So I didn't tell him that's why I was canceling. I said that my schedule got crazy and that I'm not going to be able to hang out. So he's still trying to take me out on a second date and take me on a real date to make it up to me. Now, do we give him that chance? The only thing that's making me consider it is that our chemistry was so good, and it's been really hard for me to find a connection like that. So I don't know. What do I do?
Just got married 19 days ago, and just found out yesterday that my husband has been, I don't know, talking to other people, making arrangements, cheating. He received a late call last night, said it was a scam call, and bitch, it is 10 p.m. There is no scam call calling you at 10 p.m. Like, the fuck do these guys think? Like, just make shit out of your ass. Like, I really want to know. I really do. Like, did you not think that I was gonna think, like, that doesn't sound right, a scam call at 10 p.m.? And if that wasn't tragic enough, this motherfucker comes home with some flowers and asks if he can go out with his friends today for one of his friends' birthdays. You know, I would kill a motherfucker, but I have kids to raise, and unfortunately for this one, he's just not worth it for me at all. And you know, to put the cherry on top, his location and his phone are off now. I say all this to say that do not stay in a relationship because you have no way out. I am being very calculated, you know, now moving forward, because there is no way in fucking hell that I'm going to spend the rest of my life married to someone like this.
Let's talk about the lady that spoke about the date. Tell me, how can a 41 years old man claim not to know the meaning of the F word? He is 41 years old. How can he claim not to understand what spicy picture means? He asked for it. If a guy should ask for a spicy picture on a second date, what does that tell you? He's all about sex. I'm not saying other men are not all about sex. This one is all about sex, and he's coming forward. He's not hiding it. He's pushing it forward. From sending spicy pictures, he's going to lead to something else. Can we have a video call? Can you send me a video clip and all that? So why the pretense? He got caught in the process, and he's trying to pretend. For me, I don't think she did too much. I love the fact that she had to cancel the other dates, because this guy is obviously after sex, and that's what a lot of men out there are after, even if some of them might pretend and act like that's not what they're interested in. Let's talk about the other lady that spoke about getting married after 19 days. Her husband is out there cheating, hunting for other women. It's crazy. I have more stories like this coming up. Let's watch this video.
Get ready with me while I tell you how I ended my 13-year relationship a few months before the wedding. Finally giving the girlies what they've been asking for. I posted a TikTok spilling some tea about my relationship a few days ago, and you guys have been requesting a story time, so here it is. This is actually my first time talking about it, but it's been some time now and I've healed, so I feel comfortable talking about it now. So a little backstory: I was with my ex for 13 years and engaged for a year. That's already a red flag. Why were we dating for an entire decade without tying the knot? But that's a whole nother story. So I met him my senior year of high school, and he was just starting college. He was friends with my sister, so That's how we met. My parents loved him. I loved his family. So he finally proposed, and I was literally over the moon. I had dreamt of this day my entire life, our entire relationship. So after the proposal, we did have an engagement party. So now it was time to plan the wedding. We went and looked at some venues, fell in love with one. We booked immediately. We had also booked a wedding planner and a caterer. And I decided that I was going to go to Pakistan with my mom to do all of the wedding outfits. So I was in Pakistan for 3 weeks, and I ordered all my clothes and also was almost finalizing his stuff. My mom was going to stay longer to finish up everyone else's. So now I get to Dubai from Pakistan, and I had a few hour layover there. So I'm literally just bored out of my mind. The funny thing was that I was messaging him, and it was kind of taking him long to reply. And I'm thinking there was a 12-hour time difference. So I'm like, he should be like in bed. So I'm like, hello, where are you? And he's like, hi. And then he calls me a little bit later, and then we talk and everything, and I'm about to board the flight. So then I tell him like, okay, I'm about to board, so I'll talk to you later. And he's supposed to be picking me up when I get home. Why am I shaking telling this story? Like, what is wrong with me? I'm totally okay now, but I don't know, just nervous. So I'm waiting to board my 13-hour flight from Dubai to SF, and I never checked my DM request on Instagram, and I don't know what told me that night. So I go to it and I click on the first request. It's from a girl, and as soon as I read the first few words, you guys, the way my heart literally sank, I cannot explain that feeling. My worst nightmare just came to life. So basically her DM said, your man wasn't fishing last night. He was with me. We went to a bar to get a drink. Nothing happened between us, but I realized that he was engaged. I'm so sorry. I just looked at your Instagram. You look like a beautiful person, and I just wanted to let you know. And he was posting that he was fishing on his Instagram stories, so that's why she said that. I couldn't believe that this is happening as I'm getting ready to board my flight after just ordering my wedding outfits. My bachelorette party was booked. Everything was booked. So my first thought was like, damn, I don't really want to seem insecure, like I don't trust my man by messaging her, but like I didn't. So I just replied, do you have proof? That's all I said. My heart was racing. I felt so sick to my stomach. Like I can't even explain. So I called him back immediately. I got out of the line to board and I called him, and he's like acting casual. Obviously he's like, what's up? And I was like, so what were you doing last night? And he's so confused because we had just got off the phone, and he's like, what do you mean? I told you I went fishing. And then I was like, okay, and before you went fishing? And he's like, oh, I went to blah 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 bar to get some drinks with so and so. And he's like, why? At this point he already knows that I know something, because why did I just call back to question him? So I asked who was he at the bar with, and he named his friends, and I was like, no, who else was there? He's like, just us. You're crazy. What's wrong with you? And I was like, no, there was a girl there. Who was the girl? He's like, oh, that's my friend's friend. I'm trying to get him to say the name. He's acting like he doesn't even remember the girl's name. He's saying some random names. And then in this time, I go back to her page to look at her, and I saw that he was following her. And then after I talked to him, I see he goes in and follows her. So I'm like, oh, so you do know who I'm talking about, and you were following her until now you just went in and followed. So I just hung up because I knew I was about to turn into a completely different person, and I was at the airport. So I hung up on him, waited for her to send me proof. And I'm like getting so scared and hoping that the flight gets a little delayed so I get the proof before I hop on this flight. So then she sends me a random picture that she's in his car, and he has a Tesla, and I recognize his car and his hand. So I knew it was him. He is like messaging me, he's calling me, he's blowing on my phone. So I answer him, and I'm like, so why was a girl in your car? And you guys, the story he made up as to why this girl was in his car, like, he goes, oh, that was so-and-so's friend, and she's never rode in a Tesla. She wanted a ride, so I just like drove her to the bar. You are not in a Bugatti, okay? His lies were just getting worse and worse. He even had his friend, who is the biggest liar that I do not trust, send him a message saying, oh, that was so and so. So he's showing me screenshots like, look, he knows I would never do anything like that. And I'm like, okay, you want me to believe this liar? You guys, if I did not have proof, the way I would have believed him, because the way he was manipulating me and telling stories, he's like, you know, I always run into your friends every time I'm out, which is true. He's like, you really think I would take some girl out to a bar knowing that I run into your friends all the time? And in my head, I'm like, he's got a point there. I don't think that if he was doing that, he would be at a bar. He would like go to someone's house. So I'm like, She had also sent me another picture, so I knew that them two were at the bar. But then I knew he was making up this whole story. He was lying. But if I didn't have that proof, I would have believed him because his lies were so believable. He's like, I would never do that to you. Are you insane? Someone is lying. They don't want us to be together. You're crazy. I just tell him, I cannot believe you and I'm done. We were getting ready to board, so I had to get off the phone. So he's blowing up my phone, sending texts, calls. I'm just ignoring it. And the girl sent me more messages. So I was fully aware of everything going on. I just sat in the plane and I was just numb. Like I was shocked. I was numb. I couldn't even begin to process what the heck was happening with me. That entire flight for 13 hours, I just sat there like this. I didn't even recline my seat. I sat up straight like this for 13 hours. I just closed my eyes because I didn't want to be bothered. I did not sleep. I didn't listen to my music. I did not use the bathroom. I did not drink water, food, nothing. Kept hoping that I'm dreaming. This is a nightmare and I'm going to wake up any second. The guy on the plane next to me was so freaking nice, you guys. He tapped me to wake me up for a meal. I had already missed breakfast and lunch and this was dinner time, so he tapped me. He's like, oh, you've been missing meals, so I got you a plate. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And he's like, you took something? And he had an accent, so I couldn't understand. So I'm like, huh? He's like, you took something to sleep like that? And I was like, oh no. And he's like, all natural? And I was like, yeah, natural. He was literally concerned for my livelihood, so I didn't want him to think I was some psychopath. So I tried to eat my meal and I literally felt like I was going to throw up. I had to stop. Okay, fast forward. I'm in SF, the worst 13 hours of my entire life, to say the least. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if to still have him pick me up. I still had one more flight to go. So I messaged him saying, do not pick me up. I'll figure it out. And then I was like, okay, pick me up from the airport, because I'm like, I just need to deal with this. So I finally land home. He texted saying that he's here, he's going to park and come to baggage claim. And I'm like, no, why would you come to baggage claim? Just wait for me, pull up. I'm just going to come. Like, I don't want you to come inside. And then he's like, my mom is with me too. I'm sorry, what? He says, oh, I'm going to take my mom to the sister's house and she's near you, so we're just going to drop her off. But I know what he was doing there. Like a zombie. Not only I haven't slept in 30 plus hours, I also haven't ate. My eyes are bloodshot red. And then I walk down and he's standing there with flowers and his mom is smiling, and God bless her. I literally love her. I hugged her and I didn't hug him. She immediately knew something was up because of our body language. And she didn't speak English, so she didn't really know the few words that I said. I just said that, yeah, that's my bag. So basically in the car ride, he's trying to sweet talk. Let's drop her off first and then we can talk. And I was like, no, drop me off first and do not come back. I'm done. Okay, this is getting really long. You guys are gonna have to go to part 2. I'm sorry.
Men are very cunning. They're liars. They're manipulators. You have to be very careful. If you want to watch the other part of the story, please move over to our TikTok page to watch the rest of it. I'm not sure if she has it available, but she promised to have the part 2 coming up. So just go to her TikTok page. You might see the rest of it there and watch it. Dating a man who is a manipulator and a liar can seem harmless at first. The problem here is this: what happens when those lies start stacking up and you find yourself in a web of control and deceit? What would you do? It always starts with simple lies, twisted lies, small lies, subtle manipulation. But here is the negative part of it. Over time, the emotional and psychological damage will eventually become so hard for you to ignore, and that man can quickly distort your sense of reality. You might think, oh, he's just a liar, he's a manipulator. I'm good at catching a liar, I'm good at the game of manipulation. I can deal with that. What happens when that man gets into your bloodstream? What happens when that man make you start believing things are not in existence and make you to start doubting yourself? It's not a good space to be in. A manipulator is a good gaslighter as well. They need to gaslight you, twist reality so they can excel at manipulating you. So don't make excuses for a manipulator. If you're able to spot one out, I don't think you should be there and make excuses, because if you stay put there, you're going to lose your mind. Your mental health is important. You need to protect it and not lose it over a man.
Men are known to leave their wives when their wives get sick, and I just started watching Love is Blind, the new season.
As a woman with MS, I can 100% confirm that this is true. So I have kind of a unique perspective on this because I myself have MS, but I also come from a giant family cluster of MS. So my mother has MS, 4 of her 6 sisters have MS, and there's like 24 cousins on that side of the family, and one by one, all of the women of my generation are getting MS. Now, my grandmother didn't have MS, but she had Parkinson's. So I've been witness to 3 generations of women with chronic illnesses being absolutely abandoned by their husbands. And a lot of times they leave, right? Not right away. They'll stay for about 6 months after the diagnosis and play the hero while everyone's still watching, everyone's praising them for being brave and selfless. And then once the actual work begins, once it becomes unglamorous and hard, they dip out. And they do it in a way that leaves them feeling blameless, right? They pick fights, they start building resentment, they start manufacturing conflicts, they start gaslighting. Essentially, these men will do the things that men do when they want out of a relationship, but they don't want to feel like the bad guy. Or they'll stay and kill their wives through neglect. Now, this is what's happened in my family multiple times. So my grandfather, who is devoutly Catholic, did not leave my grandmother when she got diagnosed with Parkinson's. He did, however, let her starve to death through neglect. A month after she died, he proposed to someone else. I have another aunt who has died from MS, and her husband didn't let her starve, but he also refused to help in any way. So by the end, my aunt was in a wheelchair, she was paraplegic, she essentially died from suffocation. And yet this man refused to do the dishes, refused to do laundry, refused to tidy the house, refused to do any sort of housework in general. And so they lived in this hoarder, squalor, horribly unhygienic environment because he just refused to help out. As soon as she died, he got rid of all of her stuff, anything and everything that was hers or reminded him of her, cleared it out of the house, and he hasn't been seen from since. For all I know, he's remarried. I have another aunt who's in the hospital right now for MS. She needs a walker to get around the house. She cannot use a phone because she doesn't have the dexterity in her fingers. And her husband routinely leaves her for 3 weeks at a time to just go on vacation without her. And he doesn't arrange for her kids to stop by or for like frozen meals or anything. No, he just leaves. I mean, he's not pushing her down the stairs of the house, but these men are essentially trying to usher their wives into the grave through neglect. This is just in my family. And I think one of the most amazing things about TikTok is that we as women are starting to realize that these stories aren't personal. It's not like, oh, that relationship was flawed and it fell apart under stress. No, these are systemic issues. These are patriarchy issues. When men take that vow of in sickness and in health, they only mean their sickness and their health. As soon as their wife gets sick, they're out. And this happens so frequently that hospitals have formal or informal HR modules on how to train nurses and doctors to break the news to women when they get a chronic illness like this, that their husbands are going to leave them. This is not an individual issue. This is an issue with our whole society, our whole culture.
Can I tell you someone's anonymous secret? Okay. Secret. I got married in my 20s. I lived what looked like a traditional suburban life. He worked. I stayed home. We went to church, lived in a nice community, had beautiful kids. Early in our marriage, I could feel him pulling away from me. I tried every possible way to reignite a spark, but he told me he was no longer attracted to me. I begged him to go to counseling. He refused. I changed my appearance, colored my hair, went on diets, wore different clothes, He just insisted he fell out of love with me. He had no physical attraction to me anymore. He wasn't cruel most of the time. He was just indifferent toward me, which just left me feeling completely alone and empty. In public, he held my hand. In church, he sat with our family and beamed with pride. At home, we coexisted. On more than one occasion, I asked if he wanted a divorce, but he said he was fine with the life we had, and that went on for years. I was lonely and sad, but I poured myself into my kids, my friends, and eventually my job. It became our norm for him to come in, eat with the kids before going down to the basement for the rest of the night. He spent hours on the computer playing games, chatting with all sorts of people day and night. He had plenty to talk about, plenty to give. It just not for me. There was no conversation, no connection, no anything when it came to me. On the surface, people thought we had a great life. But I knew when our youngest went off to college, I would divorce him. And I was mentally preparing for that. Actually looking forward to it when he was unexpectedly diagnosed with late-stage cancer. He was not yet 50. It was aggressive. And suddenly, in his fear and grief, he turned to me as his wife for support. He wanted me to be his treatment manager, his caregiver, his prayer partner, his chauffeur to appointments. All the things our church and community would expect from a devoted wife. He never acknowledged that he didn't deserve any of these things from someone he all but ignored in private. He just expected me to do them. Suddenly, I had all these obligations to support him after he disregarded all of my needs for years. And I couldn't say no. He didn't have anybody else. I felt so disconnected from him and from the whole experience. The deep anger I felt was suffocating. But for my kids, I did everything I could for him in his final months. I believe he passed away in peace, but my secret is that I feel like I watched my life and his death happen in a movie. It doesn't feel real that I spent 20 years of my life just going through the motions and that I somehow handled his end-of-life care by myself without really feeling anything. I didn't cry when he passed. I felt relief. And then I dove into supporting my kids to help them through it. It's been a couple years now, and I think I've lost my ability to truly feel anything. I know I have resentment that will never be resolved. Since he can't apologize, he can't make amends, and I have no idea how to let go of all of those feelings.
Imagine dedicating your life to someone only for them to walk away from you when you need them the most. Unfortunately, it's a heartbreaking reality for many women, for wives who find themselves abandoned when illness strikes. Why do men choose to leave their sick wives? To be honest with you, this is not an isolated issue. It's not restricted to a particular geographical region. It is global. All around the world, women face this. Men shy away from the pressure of caregiving. They don't want to do that for someone, but they expect women to do that for them. That is the mentality of, I'm the king, you're here to serve me. The whole patriarchy stuff is in play here. The issue of societal expectation and male identity. Men are not supposed to do some certain things. I tell you, a good number of men will make women believe that they're not part of the patriarchy system, but they have it ingrained in them, honestly. It's easier to talk about it, talk against it, say I'm not part of it. When push comes to shove, are you going to practice what the patriarchy system preaches, or are you going to be a real human being that has humanity in him? In the patriarchy system, men are not supposed to associate themselves with feminine stuff, with things that make them look more like women, things that put them in the light of a woman. Or women are supposed to be nurturers and caregivers. So when it comes to household chores, caring for someone, looking after someone, nurturing, men are not supposed to do that. And a lot of men love the fact that they're not supposed to do that. They love the fact that the patriarchy system is the way it is. Don't let anyone deceive you, honestly. So to a lot of men, they're here to use women, satisfy themselves sexually. Women are just out there to serve them. And we see this play out every single day in our society.
Men don't divorce, they simply just cheat. And this is
okay, a great example about how men don't divorce, they simply just cheat. My ex-husband, when he let me know he was done with our marriage, he simply was like, on a Thursday, peace over the phone, like, I don't want to be married anymore. And then by that Sunday, he packed and left Texas and went back to our home state of New Jersey. But while he was packing that Saturday, he was like, oh, pretty much I fell in love with this girl 2 years before he wanted this divorce. And he couldn't, like, he didn't know how to tell her he was married, and he didn't know how to ask for a divorce, which doesn't make any sense. And that they met once for like a week, and that he was hoping to get her pregnant so that he can like use that as a sign to get a divorce from me. And so whatever, as that Sunday, he was like, oh, we shouldn't text, blah blah blah, like let's just contact through email. I'm gonna initiate the divorce once I get back to New Jersey. I'm done, blah 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 blah. Cool. Fast forward, it's like a couple of months and I'm like, okay, I'm not hearing from you, blah blah. And he was like, oh well, I just like, I'm lost without you, and I want to work on myself, and I want to go to therapy now, and blah blah blah, and so I don't want to get a divorce. And I was like, oh, skirt skirt. I was like, yeah, no. And he was like, also, it's really expensive. And I'm like, well, if you already had this idea that you wanted to get out of this marriage, I hope you looked into it so you could see how much it costs, blah blah blah. And so long story short, I initiated the divorce because he couldn't afford it. And then once the divorce was finalized, he was like, oh, what does that mean? We're over? Is our story no longer like continuing? And I'm like, sir, bye. Like, out of here. Bye. Recap, my name is Shania. My ex-husband let me know on a Thursday that he wanted a divorce over the phone. That Saturday, I helped him pack, where he let me know that he fell in love with this girl 2 years prior and that he lost her because she ended things. And then that Sunday, he was in a ditch calling for my help. So, like I said in my previous video, that Sunday, I used all the little information he gave me about her, and I found her on Facebook and I messaged her. Fast forward to now, part 6. She finally messaged me back, because if you know anything about Facebook, if you're not Facebook friends with this person, it goes into their filter. So first message that I do have, a screenshot, is where she's pretty much saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you guys, like, he was married. And so from my understanding, which I have to correct my previous statement, she was told that he was married, so she took it as he was married, he got divorced. In my head, I would ask clarifying questions, furthering questions, but you know, that's just me. She had a vouch from her friend, so I could see how she thinks that that would be the truth. Anyway, so then she then goes on to tell me, now I don't know why I was asking all these questions. I don't know why she gave me all the answers, and so this could be true, this could not be true, but like, why at this point, why lie? So pretty much she met him through, she was calling her friend, and we're going to call him Johnson. She was calling Johnson because she was dealing with heartbreak at her duty station, and he's her friend, and he was giving her advice and comfort. And supposedly that was the same, my ex was like hanging out with Johnson, and so they, like, he was like, oh, who's that, and then Johnson showed, like, I guess Instagram or Facebook or something of who she was. And so pretty much my ex asked to be put on. He put Johnson put him on, and they met like that. So she did tell me that he did come to Florida and spent a week with her and her family, and they went to Disney and Universal and all these other things, and she like kept apologizing and pretty much said like she has no contact with him, she doesn't want him, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm getting a divorce, so like, I don't, like, if you want him, that's all you, but I know I'm leaving. And so she pretty much said the reason why she really ended thing is because not only when she came to New Jersey, he like played her, and it was from her understanding that he was living with his uncle, so that's why she got the Airbnb, but that he like played her, and then he was also cheating on her with other girls, as you can see by this message, which really baffles me, because this man he was like, oh, she was the love of my life. And so you cheated on your wife with someone that was the love of your life. Now, like, some people could be like, okay, like, I get that, cool, but how do you cheat on the love of your life, as you say it, with other girls? And so then I was like, she was like, oh, she apologized again, and that was the end of the conversation. And so just based on what happens next, I can assume that she messaged her friend Johnson, he messaged my ex, and then my ex sent me this. If you want to see how the rest of this conversation goes, please let me know. I could give you a part 7. But yeah.
So that Sunday, I found a girl on Facebook. I used all my little detective skills, all the information he gave me. I found her, I messaged her. She does respond. It will be in a later part because she responds 6 to 8 months later. And then, so at this point, we're 2 months post him leaving. He does email me asking me for money because he is late on his car payments. In his mind, he was going to go back to New Jersey. He was going to use his GI Bill to do trucking, and then passive income, be a millionaire, live a great life. That did not happen. And so he asked me for $700 just so he could be 1 month behind so they won't repossess his car. Now, I said no. My mom said I should do it if I have it. Now, this is the same mom when I was a child. My dad had 2 kids and cheated on her, had 2 kids. And at one point they lost their home, so my mom took them in and raised them for a year. So you can see why she said if I have it, I should give it. And then I said no because he already owes me $15,000, and to this day he still owes me $15,000, but that's a whole nother story. But I did fly home because I was originally planning on flying home. We met up to close our joint accounts. When we met at the Chase, I saw he wasn't driving his car. I asked him about it. He said that his new girlfriend let him use her car because he didn't have gas money, and that he's hiding his car so the people won't find his car, so it won't get repossessed. By the time I left New Jersey, his car got repossessed. And he then started trying to flirt with me. He was like, oh, you looking good on Instagram, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, boy, like, you literally just said you have a girlfriend. You're driving her vehicle and you're asking me for money. So I don't know what you think is going to happen. He asked me if we could have sex. I said no. He was like, oh, like I miss what we used to have and did, and she doesn't do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like you don't think. And so let me know if you want a part 4.
You can move over to her TikTok page to listen to the rest of it. She has other parts on her page. That man is obviously a chronic cheat, a serial cheat. Cheating is one of the most painful betrayers in relationships and marriages. To some men, no matter how much love and commitment they receive from their partners, they will still cheat. And this man is a good example of such men. Ladies, please know this. A cheating partner is cheating not because of you. Him cheating is not your fault. It's his fault. It's about him. It's about his innermost demons he's fighting. He has issues and he needs to deal with them. Men that have low self-esteem are the ones that cheat the most. They feel like with cheating, they need to prove a point. They need to show their worth. So they go around cheating. To some men, the ability for them to go around and sleep with so many women makes them a man. What a stinking and stupid way to think. To them, pursuing a lot of women is a form of validation and a reinforcement of their self-worth to themselves. A good number of cheats would always say the relationship became boring, we needed something new. They always create excitement, novelty, they want this adrenaline rush, and that's why they go around chasing new person, chasing a new woman. And it's clear that they cannot be creative. They can't satisfy themselves. They always want people, they want women to give them. They're always out to collect. If something is boring, why can't you spice it up? You can't spice things up in your relationship because you're dumb. You want someone to always do something for you. You're a big baby that wants someone to serve you. You can use your brain, you can use your senses, and you believe you can't do it because you're struggling with low self-esteem. Click this video to watch men prove to women that men can't be trusted in relationships and marriages, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.